everybody, welcome back to another episode and welcome to March. So this week, Rich Anderson from BASF is going to join us, and Rich is going to talk about tar spot, a new foliar disease in corn that we need to keep an eye out for. Without further ado, we'll throw it over to Rich.
Well, thank you very much, Darren, for the opportunity to speak with you today on the Agronomy Minute. And I'm just going to go through some quick information on a new leaf disease in corn crop that we have to be concerned about here in southwestern Ontario, and touch on a few other ones as well. So the new disease that has come into this area and been confirmed in Ontario is called tar spot. So this is actually a picture taken by Albert Tenuta in a field here in southwestern Ontario of the disease and what it looks like. And it basically looks like someone took a paintbrush with tar on it and flipped it onto your corn. So it does have a black tarry type look to it. It usually affects the corn later on in the year. And this is basically a new disease we have to be concerned of. It's in the right conditions. This can take up to 50 bushels off of your corn crop. So it is something we want to make sure that everyone is aware of what they're looking for. It is new here to southwestern Ontario, and it's not really established a great hold yet, but it is something we want to make sure all of your customers have a very good indication of what this looks like. So that's the goal of today, is to help with identification and start looking at some ways to help control this disease and what you need to be looking out for. We'll touch on a few other diseases here in southwestern Ontario we have to make sure we're always watching out for. So it started out in Indiana and Illinois in 2015, moved to Michigan in 2016, has continued to spread across the state of Michigan, and has been recently found here in the 5 lower counties of southwestern Ontario in this previous year of 2020. So it has been confirmed here by Albert Tenuta, and it has been across these 5 counties. And basically what you're looking for when you get into this disease is a raised lesion that looks like splattered tar. It is something that's very definitive to it. It is actually raised up off the leaf. It is something you cannot rub off, just like you would with tar. You wouldn't be able to rub off dry tar either. It's very easy to tell that way. And the best time to scout for this is in, well, later August, early September, before dry down of the corn, but that's really when it starts to get going, is after tassel and into that time frame. It can have a fisheye around it as well. You can see up here it has kind of around it. That's a secondary tar spot, same disease, but a little bit different. Usually we don't see this here in southwestern Ontario. All the ones that I've been involved with or have seen pictures of are just the actual black raised tar itself, but that is something you also be aware of. There may be a halo or a fisheye lesion around it as well. The key thing with that, we have a lot of other diseases here in southwestern Ontario that look exactly the same in terms of the patterning to it, but don't have that black raised lesion. One is eye spot. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen here versus the left showing tar spot with the halo. You can hold eye spot up to the sunlight. So grab leaf, hold it up. You'll see the halo much more pronounced. And it is a brown elongated lesion. So it doesn't look exactly the same, but it is something that is similar. Now, the one we have to be looking at is rust. So common rust in the center of the screen is a raised pustule, same as a tar spot, comes up off the leaf, but it can be rubbed off relatively easily. And one that we do get here occasionally, but very seldomly, is southern rust on the right-hand side of the screen. It has the halo around it, a raised pustule, does not rub off very easily, but it doesn't have that characteristic black, tarry look to it. It is going to be more of a rust shape. We do see this. I've only seen it once in 18 years, and it's the very southwest of Ontario, so getting down around Windsor area. Not as common, but it is something that looks a lot like it. But the key thing you are looking for that black lesion that sticks up off the leaf that cannot easily be rubbed off as well. So the concern that we have with it for this part of the area, as you start to look at it down in the southwest here, where basically Muirkirk is located, this is a picture taken from Tracy Bowdy's presentation on Western Bean Cutworm, showing all the areas that had at least 3 years of corn on corn. So this disease overwinters in the corn stovers. Once it lands on your leaves, you harvest the corn, they fall to the ground. They can overwinter in this climate, and your field is, well, more prone to infection the next year and can be a source field to spread that disease as well. And we're both, Darren and I both farm, we're both in that area here where there's a lot of corn on corn. And it is something that's also one of the main concerns that we have with this disease. The corn on corn is more likely to harbor it as well. But we do have some chemical solutions for it. So this is work done by Marty Cheevers out of the University of, well, Michigan State University. And he's actually been one of the key people for this disease and managing it and looking at the different plots. So this actually is work done in 2019, comparing a lot of the ones that we have available here in Ontario, just for comparison's sake. And the key thing to focus on here, what we have available, like headline amp here on the one side, is something that gives us a great starting point to start controlling this disease. Trivopro, Miravis, and Stratigo all do a good job on it as well. And there is a new one coming called Veltima, which is registered in the United States. We have submitted it for approval here in Canada, so we will have it in the future. I can't tell you when, but it is something we will have available to look after this tar spot as well. This disease does come in much later in the year, so an application at tassel of a fungicide can provide good control of this disease. And the other picture here of Veltima, which is also, like I mentioned, registered in the United States from Marty Achiever's work here. Just a field scale trial side by side, just showing you a visual that there is the ability of this new group 3 to control this disease. But what we have currently available to us will also do a very nice job for you as well. Now with tar spot, it is a new fungus here. It can overwinter here. It's proven that in the Midwest, and it's staying there and starting to spread. The key thing for this disease, when to worry about this disease, is when it's cool and wet. So similar conditions we had in 2018 here, we had a lot of dawn that developed because the cool, the wet, August and July. That's exactly the same type of disease issues that we would see with this one as well. So work done in Michigan State's trials. There's a lot more yield loss in 2018 when we had our dawn issue. There was very little in 19 when it was dry, and there wasn't that cool wet situation for it post tassel. It's most observed at that tassel timeframe or after tassel, and there are some very striking hybrid differences and also fungicide efficacy as well. So it is something you want to look and start planning for it. The key thing though is if you do go out, scout for it, look for this disease, get in your cornfields after tassel, take a look for it. If you do find it, don't panic. It isn't something that's going to take 50 bushels away in a normal situation. It's going to be more from that cool and wet timing. That's where you're going to see the real injury from it. And if you do suspect it, definitely get this into Ridgetown. We're not that far away from Albert Tinker's office. Grab some samples, put them in a paper bag, bring them into them, get that to them, get it diagnosed properly. Once you know you have it, then you can start to work with it and manage this disease. And the key thing about it though is once you know you have it, managing it is easily done by practices we already are using in this area for control of dawn and control of other leaf diseases, because you don't want to forget about the other leaf diseases and start focusing on this one. It's a new one, but we do want to make sure you're aware of it. But really the key things we want to focus on are already here, like northern corn leaf blight, rust, and fusarium, which creates dawn in corn. So that's tar spot in a nutshell. Tar, black tar, it actually looks like tar, that's why it's named that way. Raised, and it is something you want to get out there and start looking post tassel to see what you can find.
Big thanks to Rich. Some really awesome information on tar spot. Definitely one to be on the lookout for, and one that we'll keep an eye on come September when we do our Great Lakes grain crop tour. So we'll wrap this episode up with the answers from last week's question. The question was, if I'm side dressing 28% early in corn on a sandy, low CEC soil, my major end loss pathway is leaching, which is the downward movement of nitrogen. Denitrification would be the other one, which is more prone in those clay soils. As far as the stabilizer of choice in this situation is Tribune. So well done to those who responded. Your prizes will be coming here shortly. So moving ahead, you can see we have a nice flush of fleabane here, and we're going to go back a little ways. In week 3, I covered weed management and extend soybeans. So the question this week is, which residual product can be added to Aragon and Merge in our burn down to improve the control of Canada fleabane? So if you got to go back and watch that video, feel free to do so. I had the link in the email that I sent this video in. And also, aside from that, I want you to also tell me in a bonus question, what order should this product be added to the tank? So same protocol as last week. Send me a text, call, respond to the email, any way you can get a hold of me. And that'll wrap up this week's episode. So I hope you enjoy. Now that we're into March, stay safe, stay tuned, and we'll talk next week.